Some people say I claim to be a legend in my own mind. So, that may be true.
Welcome to Celebrity Focus Insiders with your host, Rick Backrack.
PR professional George Drucker has had a long and storied career at great shops like Edelman, RF Binder, and Crenshaw Communications. He's now teaching at Pepperdine, UCLA, and California Lutheran. John Edelman recently credited George with being the creator of experiential marketing for his cutting-edge approach to engagement-oriented campaigns. George has worked for clients ranging from Southern Comfort and Fisher Nuts to Aquavelva, KFC, and Kraft. He's done nearly 100 deals connecting famous people with famous brands. He's now also a member of the board of directors at Pacific Clinics. George, you launched the experiential side of things with Brown and Forman. How did that come about, and where did the celebrity fit in?
Well, first of all, Rick, some people say I claim to be a legend in my own mind. So, that may be true. But we had the good fortune of being the first outside agency, PR agency, promotion agency, hired by Brown Forman. They had purchased a brand called Southern Comfort, which was pretty famous. They paid $100 million for it. The days when Janis Joplin was swilling it on stage, the 60s and 70s ended. And the brand, after Brown Forman purchased it, was heading south. They were very worried. Sales were down. The target audience were a youthful kind of audience, 21 to 34, but the brand just didn't have a relevancy anymore without Janis Joplin around. So the senior vice president of marketing for Southern Comfort called together all his agencies, advertising, promotion, direct marketing, public relations, you name it, and said, hey guys, here's the situation. Rome is burning. This brand is heading south. We need everybody here to think about and come up with an idea that's going to resuscitate this brand and make it relevant to that young 21 to 35 audience. So I'm giving everybody here the charge to do that. And if we can't do that, who wants to tell the president of Brown Forman that they bought a lemon trying to make a silk's purse out of a sow's ear? So with that, everybody went back to their offices, started to brainstorm. And we came across a series of drinks that have become very popular with a younger audience on premise, meaning in bars, called shooters. There were drinks that were sweet, which fits the profile of Southern Comfort. It's sweet and readily mixable. And that target audience loves these sweet mixed tasting drinks. So there was a drink that had come along called a shooter, which had, a sweet tasting beverage and a sweet tasting mixer in it. And we thought, hey, what would be more perfect than some time with a shooter like a basketball shooter? So we put together an elaborate campaign, very easily implemented, where we'd actually have a promotion where you would shoot Nerf ball baskets against a Southern Comfort backboard in bars around the country. And we named a drink. When you participated in the contest, you bought a drink called the Slam Dunk for $3, and you got to keep the glass. Well, we had more than 2,000 bars participating around the country. We hired Jerry West, who was the former general manager of the LA Lakers. He's also on the profile of the jerseys every NBA team wears. That's Jerry West, one of the great shooters of all time. He became our spokesperson. He was eminently bookable because he was just likable, tremendous talent. The great news was the brand was revived by this promotion in its first year, a really solid increase in sales, and particularly on premise. And the clients so loved it, we went to a second year, third year, and eventually it ran for 10 years, which is unheard of in the field. And it was participatory. And that's what we mean by experiential, is the consumer, the target audience, was experiencing something with the brand.
So, George, you've done hundreds of celebrity deals. What are the attributes that you look for when you're considering a spokesperson for a brand? What are the attributes you're looking for when you're considering that talent?
Well, we have to assess. There has to be a relevance, some kind of a tie-in between the celebrity talent and the brand. It just can't be someone on the outside who's, maybe popular, but there's no thread into who they are. So we kind of look for that right away, along with, what's the recognition of the person? Are they in a Q score, which is the old way of measuring celebrity talent? Are they an A talent, high on the list? Are they a B talent, a C talent? They didn't necessarily have to always be an A talent, but as long as they had a relevance and they were likable and their public persona was very positive, there were really no negatives in their background, it's someone we would look at. And, Rick, you were so always helpful in kind of helping us fit that talent to the brand, but they really had to be relevant. In fact, at one time, the FCC was talking about, I don't know if they actually implemented it, but they were talking about making sure that a spokesperson representing a brand in a PR, advertising, promotional context could be shown to actually use that brand. So you really had to show that thread of credibility and believability.
And they have made some adjustments, and credibility is a big part of that. They do have to be able to prove out that relationship, primarily on the pharmaceutical side of the business, where the claims are just so important. George, we've got a lot to talk about. I have a lot more questions. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back with a few more things.
Good.
Hey, these are my shoes. And here's the rest of me.
Come to my window, I'll be home soon. You're in the arms of the angel.
It's about not just the fundraising, but getting people to understand how important North Pond is to Lincoln Park, to Chicago, to our natural areas, but also to us as human beings, to our need for connecting to nature.
George, you've done so many great celebrity campaigns. Do you have any favorites that you can share with us?
Well, I love the Fisher Nut promotion that we did to find America's greatest sports nut, because we actually, with Rick's help, we found one of the great nut jobs of all time in media, and that's Dick Vitale, Dickie V. What you get in Dick is what you see on television, which is just a gregarious, fun kind of guy, high energy, loved basketball, was a real sportsman in every way possible. And he just so gravitated to the contest and the concept and the brand. So it was fun for us to work with him, and he had the energy for it. He was on Good Morning America, ESPN Sports, you name it. And he was very comfortable in delivering our messages about the search for America's first ever greatest sports nut. So I was very proud of that campaign, and it was just a joy working with Dick Vitale.
I'd love for you to share your thoughts on another great participatory campaign you did, probably also for Brown and Foreman, and that was Finger Flick Football.
Oh, yeah.
That was another bar game that you did talk about that.
Well, what happened was the promotion with Great Shooters was so successful that the client said, hey, we do that for like 3 or 4 months out of the year. What can we do on a similar vein, in a participatory way, experiential way, that we can, go back to the bars with stuff? So we created something called the Finger Flick Football Competition. And through Rick, we hired Terry Bradshaw. He of the NFL Today show and one of the great quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. In the first year here, he was our spokesperson for it. And the idea was, the game where you put a penny on the table, you have 3 chances to flick it to the end of the table. If it hangs over the edge, it's a touchdown. College kids play that, and guys in bars play that all the time. So we formalized it into an actual game in bars with a drink and the whole 9 yards. It kind of reflected the Southern Covered Great Shooters Contest. We later hired, it went on for a couple more years because it was also very successful. We hired Kenny the Snake Stabler, again introduced through Rick. Kenny was a freewheeling, just kind of wild kind of guy, and he just fit with Finger Flick Football. So it was a lot of fun. We got a ton of media coverage, and the brand, again, catapulted more sales. Brown Foreman wound up selling Southern Comfort about 3 years ago for $500 million. They paid $100 million. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of that $500 million. But anyway, I was proud to be part of it in a circuitous way.
we love our great deals, but you and I both know not every single deal works out great. Share one or two of those stories. It's important, I think, for viewers to know that you can do everything right, and just sometimes things don't click.
Yeah.
I, of course, remember the deal with Dan Deerdorf and Aqua Velva, which was 99% great and 1% bad. But share a little bit about that.
Yeah, that 1% was a doozy. We had Dan Deerdorf was on Monday Night Football, tremendous exposure, great guy, great sense of humor, etc. He was going to be the MC for us for a contest we were doing to find America's Most Regular Guy. Somebody who wears a flannel shirt, just a typical guy kind of guy. And he was going to MC our final event in New York. And he did some media for us. And then the night before our final event, he was on Letterman, David Letterman. And he had an opportunity to talk about the contest, and he didn't mention it. And I was ready to shoot myself. We tried to soothe the client, but those things kind of happen. You just never know. We had one where we were introducing a product called Lactaid, which was people who were lactose intolerant. And even with Rick's tremendous help, we couldn't find a perfect fit with a sports celebrity who suffered from lactose intolerance. So we wound up with Virginia Wade, who was wonderful, but she really couldn't say much about her own personal relationship. So that was a little bit of a bummer. But by and large, we found people with that right thread who were believable, credible, and were articulate in talking about our promotion and the product. They were comfortable in doing it.
Before we wrap up, I've got one final question for you, George, and that it really comes into the category of advice for brands and for folks at agencies today, under the heading of do's and don'ts. So when people, especially newer practitioners or brand executives who maybe have never done a deal before, what are some things for them to think about in terms of things to do and things not to do? What can you share?
Well, I think the most important thing, particularly in today's world, most people are bombarded every day. They turn on their computer. A reporter gets 600 emails by the time he or she even starts their day. So you have to be cutting edge and memorable and capture attention very quickly. There's a book that I used in my class at Cal Lutheran called ZAG. And what the author means in ZAG is when the whole world is zigging, you got to zag. Particularly today, you have to figure out how you can be different, how you can capture attention, how you can utilize all the support mechanisms in marketing, advertising, communications, internet, etc., to make your brand, your product really stand out. How do you make it memorable? How do you fit that with the target audience? It has to fit with their interests. So you have to look for a thread, a commonality, like the spokesperson, that's relevant to what they're interested in. Not what you're interested in, because they don't care about that. They care about what they're interested in. So you got to make sure there's a fit there. That's like the most important thing probably of all.
That's great advice. And to our viewers, I'll merely say, if you enjoyed this episode, first of all, join us again, but go to my website, celebrityfocus.com, sign up for our newsletter. Somewhere around here, you'll see a little button to subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe to Celebrity Focus Insiders. We'd love to have you back. George, you did a great job. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I hope we can do this again. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, listen, my career with you has been only fun. So thanks so much.
Thanks, George.
Have a great day.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Celebrity Focus Insiders, connecting famous people with famous brands. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date and check out our past episodes at celebrityfocus.com.